Good evening, everybody. This is Jonathan Walker, and once again, we're here with another night. We're going to be talking about financial health. Financial health is what we're talking about tonight. And we have evangelist Catherine Turner, who's very equipped to talk to us about this. And evangelist, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Elder Jonathan Walker, for inviting me to your podcast. I so appreciate this. And just a little bit about me. I'm a Colorado girl, native of Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I graduated from University of Denver with my accounting degree way back in the day. We won't say how long ago. And I am very passionate about helping families in the financial health arena, where it's just so important to help people understand that wealth is so much more than money, and we can really make a positive difference in the kingdom.
All right. That's good. Good stuff. Sounds like you're very qualified to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. First question, let's get this right off the bat. And first question is, what are some leading causes of debt? What are some of the leading causes of debt?
All right. Great question. Well, some of the leading causes, number one, is that unfortunately, people are just not making enough money. So there's not enough cash flow or income coming in. And as a result, when there's not enough coming in and there's more going out, that's how people go plastic. Yeah, really sad. I know. Go plastic is what happens. Secondly, lack of temperance. Another major reason why people are going into debt. Eyes bigger than their belly, wanting everything they see, and not budgeting.
Just that's a big one.
Yeah, just basically
that's feeling
a big one. It's good. Mm-hmm.
And the next question we would have is, how does debt affect your credit? All
right. So debt can adversely affect your credit if it's too high. So we use in the United States, we use the FICO credit scoring tool for the most part. There's a couple other different ones out there, but FICO, FICO, is the main one. And 35% of your credit score is based upon you paying your bills or your debt on time. So paying on time, 35%, and 30% of your credit because of debt is based upon the amount of balance that you owe on a particular card. Right?
Wow.
So 65% of your credit is affected by debt. That's big.
That is huge.
It's huge.
65% of our credit is affected by our debt.
Absolutely.
Now, quick question. Does that include department store credit cards?
You better say so. It really does include department store credit cards. They look at different types of debt. They look at installment loans. They look at basic credit card debt. They look at just a variety of different debt. And so department store credit is some of the worst because the interest rates are very high on those particular loans. And excuse me.
That's all right. And so while we're on the topic of debt and everything, and so we've learned how you've taught us how we got here. No temperance and that there. Is there a such thing as good debt?
I believe there is good debt. Because if debt is used wisely, debt can be used to leverage or use somebody else's money to help you do the things that you want. So good debt, I believe that mortgage is a good debt. That's one example of a good debt. I believe that certain business loans are good debt. So it just depends.
Okay. Okay, so there are some good debts, but we got to be using them wisely, is what you're saying. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Use them wisely. Look at the percentage of debt that you're using compared to what you need. And again, paying things on time.
Okay. So I That's interesting. So if in fact I've made mistakes, and then let's say I've gotten into a situation where I'm in over my head,
Mm.
Should bankruptcy be an option?
All right. So I'm going to have to go with my feelings about bankruptcy.
Okay.
I do not believe that we should have to file bankruptcy. I believe that we should owe that which we have borrowed. All right. Now, there are some extenuating circumstances that could negate that, such as health. If someone has a major health problem, that they're sick, they can't work, they have all this debt, yes, I can understand how bankruptcy could, be filed in that particular case. But that's generally not the reason why people are filing bankruptcy. It's because they've got in over their head and they want an easy way out, in my personal opinion. All right. All right. Now, I also would say that it can, in the long run, someone who has filed bankruptcy can recover. That's the good thing. You can recover even if you have. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to go that route. You can have debt consolidations. You can have other ways where you're going to have to get debt negotiated down by certain companies. There's ways to do it without filing bankruptcy. But that's the last resort, and it's truly the last resort because you couldn't help it. You have tried other resources. You've done your absolute best, even after making a mistake. Then I would say that's an option.
So with that in mind, so my next question is, for those that are maybe starting the process or going through, one is, what is the impact of bankruptcy? And if you can, just give us a rough estimate as how long it will affect your credit.
All right. Yes. So bankruptcy will affect your credit for 7 to 10 years. 7 to 10 years. And, that is a long time to have a ding against your credit score. Again, you can recover. So that's the good part. It's not too late for someone who hasn't, but it's the behavior that has to change. It's the behavior. So you can get get everything just wiped out, get the eraser out. It's all good. But if you haven't changed your behaviors, you're going to write that same story, but it might be worse next time.
So I guess that goes back to what you were talking about earlier, that it has to be there's balance and there's temperance in there. But now you're talking about excuse me, I guess, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're more so dealing with right now the mindset that caused the bankruptcy.
That's
exactly. You can talk a little bit about that real quick.
Yes. Well, when it comes to money, I like to start off with money mindset when I talk to my clients. What's your relationship with money? What was your first experience with money? Was it from abundance or was it from lack? And so did you take those mindset, those ideologies into your adulthood and have the attitude that when you work, that you can get whatever you want because you work hard, right?
Ooh, okay. I've heard that one before.
Like, in other words, I can blow my whole paycheck because it's my business. I work hard. But what happens is you work hard and you want more, and what you want exceeds what you're making. And as a result, you don't have the temperance. Your mindset is whatever. And then, when they started having the caller ID on phones, didn't always have that, right?
We didn't.
I'm dating myself now. But all of a sudden, saints were using caller ID to avoid the bill collectors. Oops. Okay. So
that was for them over there. That wasn't for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, now we're dealing with integrity. We're dealing with honesty. We're dealing with trying to act like it didn't happen, avoidance, instead of confession. And instead of really seeking the Lord, what in me is causing this behavior that is self-sabotage? All right.
when you're talking, it's kind of got my attention from, because you're using the word like self-sabotage, and we don't really think about, it's not the devil, it's me.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we want to blame everything. You probably heard that before, where, in the church and you hear somebody crying and it's like, who is that crying? It's like, oh, it's that dude over there. Who's that? Oh, that's the devil. He crying. What you crying for? They blaming everything on me. It's like, some of it is not him. It was you. It was you, because you just liked it like that when it was good. But when it caught up to you, that's a
Wow.
big thing.
Wow.
That's why we need the Lord.
Wow, that's good. So we got the mindset, self-sabotage, and then the word caught up with you.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Well, and just keeping kind of the flow and everything is, should a person or a family have a balance sheet? And if you can, just talk about that for a little bit right now.
Okay, sure. So, in all honesty, it's a company that would have a balance sheet, but individuals have personal financial statements.
Okay.
And one of them is your net worth statement. Your net worth statement. What is that all about? That says we're going to take what you own, which are your assets, and subtract what you owe, which are your liabilities. And for personal finance, the difference between what you own and what you owe becomes your net worth. And most people do not know their net worth, right? Most people don't know. They have I think and it's a common question, believe it or not, on certain financial questions, certain financial questionnaires or agreements or policies. What is your net worth? And I can tell you, I'm going to say about 95% of people, if not 99, they do not know their net worth.
So, and just keeping right there. So it's a good thing if someone knows what their net worth is. Is that true?
Absolutely. It's a good thing, because knowing your net worth can help you to get some good credit. Okay. More of that good credit. And it also helps to determine where you are when it comes to your estate planning.
Now, maybe we have to talk about estate planning on another broadcast.
Okay.
I definitely want to get to that estate plan. It's always something that's interested me in doing that. And what are some reports or some things a person should do for the house? Like, I know you talked about net worth. Everybody should know their net worth. Are there any other types of reports, financial reports, that a family should put together, kind of like for their financial package they should have?
Yes. Well, I would also put together a personal income statement where you can really be clear, where is your money coming from? Is it from employment or is it from self-employment? So just knowing where's everything coming from? Is it from retirement? Is it from pension? And that also helps you not only to know that now, but in the future for projections. Where am I going to be in 10, 15, 20 years with regard to my income sources? All right. All right. What's going out the door, right? Knowing what does it take to run the household? You've got bills and then you have debt, which are different. My telephone bill is a bill. It's something I could, at any time, I could say, I don't want a telephone bill anymore. Granted, a cell phone, but a house phone, I don't have to have a house phone necessarily anymore. So my bills are one thing and my debts are another. What's going out? So our inflows and our outflows, to know that, which is that personal income statement. Another big one is a debt statement. Now, we talked about the net worth, knowing, what we own minus what we owe. But with what we owe, where do we owe? All right. What's the good? What's the mortgage? Even a student loan debt, if it was something reasonable. We're not going to go get a student loan, get in debt for $100,000 and expect to have a job that's paying $25,000 a year, right? So being wise about that. So on that debt statement, I like to ask questions like, what is it that you owe? who do you owe? How much do you owe? What type of debt is it? Is it an installment loan, like a car payment? All right. Or is it a credit card, loan? Is it a personal loan? Also, what percentage, what interest rate are you paying? All right. What's your minimum amount due versus the amount you're really paying? And how long is it that on the statement, they have a little box on most credit card statements that tells you if you pay the minimum, this is how many years it's going to take you to pay. But if you pay this amount, and they'll tell you what that amount is, you'll have everything paid off within 3 years. So those are some things that I put together I have a spreadsheet that I love for people to, let's take a look. Where are you? Most people are too afraid to want to take a look at that. And I'm like, let's not have any shame. All right. We don't have any shame because we don't have any games. We just want to know where we are. And that's what we can spend some neology time and ask the Lord to help get us out.
Yeah, I think that's the important part, is because I think a lot of people know they've made mistakes.
Yes.
But it's that shame aspect.
Yes.
How did I get here? Or how did I spend this much money?
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that you help people with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the first things, like, let's not be ashamed. Let's face this. Let's put it on the table so we can know what we can go to the Lord to pray about. And if you're really ready for a change, then we know the great and mighty God we serve is going to help. So don't come with shame and embarrassment and cover up. That's how you stay. That's how you stay there. That's how you stay stuck. But if you come, lay it all out, anytime I talk with someone, it's confidential, right? I'm not talking about what's going on in someone else's household, because you know whose household I need to be concerned about? Mine, right? So I focus on, Lord, what am I doing to give you the glory and be a good steward of your money? It's not mine anyway. And when it comes to others, people have made mistakes, but people, with the help of the Lord, we can come clean. If you want to do right, God will help you. It's just that simple.
That's good. That's good stuff. And I like the expression that you have, no shame. Just come and let's just face it and let's just put it all on the table, because it kind of says it is what it is.
It is.
And everybody has to start somewhere.
Right.
And that's good stuff. So with just keeping that in mind, and I know you've got a lot of experience in helping people get their financial house in order, if we would say. What are 5 things that you can think of that if a family is looking at their bills and they're saying, what do we do to get out of this? What are 5 things you would say besides call Evangelist Catherine Gayle Turner?
All right. Well, first thing, and I'd say that I had alluded to before, is keep a written budget. Okay. So often people, it's in my head. Yeah, I kind of got it in there, but the numbers don't lie. And when we literally take a look at what did your budget look like last month? Take a whole look at the month of July, for example, or the month of August, or the month of September, and let's just see, where were you? What went out the door? What came in the door? So we can get the truth. Let's walk in truth. All right. So a written budget. The second would be eating out less. Now we know saints like to eat. Okay.
Oh, yes, we do.
We like to eat. I love to eat. But you know what? Eating out less, I had to put myself on lockdown. And I felt so good afterwards. What I did was I put myself on a 10-day no eat out challenge. For 10 days, I could not eat out. And I could not cheat. I could not cheat by having a friend pay for it. Like, we go out, but my friend, no. So one of my girlfriends was like, no, sis, we're not going out. So, and then for the next 10 days, I could only eat out 5 days. So every other day was an option. And the same with the next 10 days. So pretty much what that meant was in a 1 month period, or in 30 days, I could only eat out 10 days and I would cook 20 days. And I'm telling you, lifesaver right there. Lots of money saved. That's the second thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. Third thing use an expense tracker. Do something to keep track of your expenses. Now, for those who like Excel spreadsheets and know them like me, yes, they work. But I would also suggest using a software out there like I used to really like Mint. Mint just changed to Credit Karma, so it's a little different, but there's also one out there that you can use. And I really like it, and it is Quicken. And so I recently set everything up on Quicken. I had used it years and years ago, and it will even help me create my budget with a couple clicks, and I can really see where is the money going. And so it's an eye opener. It's an eye opener when you really look at where things are going. All right. That's the third. The fourth one is, I would say, use balance transfer strategies. Okay. If you have credit card, and this is it's an old tried and true.
Okay.
And that is if your credit is good enough, you can use balance transfer strategies. So now you're going to go to 0% cards for generally about a year. I don't accept one if it's if it's 6 months or less, but something that lasts a year to a year and a half, where you have some time to work on paying some of the higher debt. And then you'll be able to focus on the lower debt. So using that. And then the fifth one is the snowball, where you can snowball payments. And by using the snowball payment, of course, for satisfaction, you pay the small ones off first, pay your small debts off first. Once that's paid for, you take the money you were paying toward that smaller debt. Now you add it to the amount that you were paying on the larger debt, the next highest debt, and continue so on and so forth. However, I do encourage families to look at the interest rate and look at how much you're putting out on that card each month, because sometimes, and then look at the balance too. So those three things together, we want to look at them, because it determines which card you may want to pay first. Okay. So interest rate, the amount of cash flow it's costing you to take care of that minimum payment, and the balance that is owed. Those things together, it may not just be so simple as, let's pay the smallest one. Okay. Those are the 5 things that a family can do.
Wow. And that's good. And I think one of the ones that really stands out to me is the finance tracker. Doing the Quicken, because like you said, it's an eye opener when you start looking at how many transactions you have.
Oh, yes.
I know I had uploaded my finances into a finance tracker, and I got to saying, oh my goodness. Because a lot of times we don't realize how many times we swipe our debit card.
Correct.
And that's a big eye opener, swiping that there and getting that and that there, and just knowing where your money is going to go. Yes. The next one's kind of a one that we've often heard cliches about. We've often heard the big cliche, there's no romance without finance. Okay. So, and we know, there's no honey with no money.
Okay. That's some good ones.
So we've heard all of these here, but from your experience in dealing and working with people throughout the country, throughout the DC, Delaware, Maryland area, how does finance in the real world really impact a marriage or relationship?
It impacts, and it can affect if somebody is not financially responsible. So you have generally opposites attract. You have 2 types of people. You have the spenders and you have the savers, right? And they generally find their way to each other, right? And as a pastor, many of the problems that stem or that come in marriage are because of money, because of finances. So I would say that when it comes to the finances, and especially the debt in finances, you want to make sure that your spouse is being financially responsible, because what they do can affect or adversely affect your credit score, right? Especially, and I'm going to say that when it comes to joint debt, right? So You have a credit card. Let's say you had the credit card even before you were married. Now you're married, and you add that spouse as an authorized user, right? So the debt's going to show up on both of your credit reports. It's going to show up on both of your credit reports. And then something goes haywire, and that marriage, let's say, is having some struggles or comes to an end somehow. Let's say that someone passed away. Next thing you know, that debt, it was joint. You're still an authorized user. You're still responsible financially. Right? So you want to know, what debt do I have that's only in my name? What debt do I have that's in joint? Let's say you get a window loan together, right? And what debt do I have where I'm the primary user and I have someone as the authorized user? All those things can greatly affect you and your debt.
So with that in mind and us learning how it impacts, if my spouse, and this is hypothetical, if Brother Green Apple is married to Sister Blueberry.
Okay.
All right. And Sister Blueberry got a credit card of limit of $8,000 is the credit limit. Okay. So she puts Brother Green Apple on her credit card as an authorized user. And she always has that thing up around $7,500, which we know is way above where it should be. Yes. Should Brother Green Apple say, "Hey, sweetheart, I'll help you pay it, but please take my name off of that"?
Well, I'm just going to have to go with Brother Green Apple right now and say, yeah, brother, take your name off the debt. Help the sister out, pay it off, and then put your name back on when it's taken care of, because it's going to pull down your credit score, and it doesn't have to be. So that's what I would say in that case. Now, it just depends on the timing of when you do that. If you're getting ready to make a big purchase, getting ready to buy a house, getting ready to get a joint car loan together, just be careful about the timing of when you change big things like that. And you just mentioned something I wanted just to put in there. You talked about the available credit. You mentioned available credit. Okay. A lot of times I'll hear people say, that credit card company offered me to increase my credit limit. I said they were crazy. No, they're not crazy. Here's the deal. Let it be higher, because that means that your utilization would be better, right? If I'm using $5,000 of credit card debt and I have only $10,000 of available credit, then I'm 50%. That's already too high. You shouldn't be more than 30%, but believe it or not, you shouldn't use any more than 10%.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they don't tell you. That's why you want more available credit. You want more. So they offer you more. Take the increases in the available credit. Credit card company might be coming from the perspective, I'm going to get you sucker. Okay? You're going to just go out there and spend more because you don't have no temperance anyway, and we know that.
Ooh, that word again.
I know. But you're saying I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and I am going to exercise the fruit of the spirit of self-control, of temperance, and I'm not going to charge any more than I was before. And now, when they raise it to 20,000, okay, that 5,000 and 20,000, now I'm using what, 25%?
Wow.
And I'm on my way down.
And that's something that you can teach single people or married people when they come and bring you and get your services.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I love my singles. Love my single folks. Yes.
The next question I have is, what are some things, now that we've talked about credit utilization, we've talked about available credit not there, what are some things that you would advise a single or a married couple? Don't ever put XYZ on a credit card, or don't go get a loan for XYZ. What are some of those things? If you can talk about why your opinion is that way, what are some of those things that are like that?
Okay. One of the first things, don't put this on your credit card or don't get a loan for this. Somebody else's debt, somebody else's bill. You know, that person, man, I really need this. And then you decide to co-sign, I'm going to help. I don't agree with that. Unless you are willing to take full responsibility for that loan or that debt in the future. No need to be mad at them. Somebody doesn't pay their part because you said yes. So unless you're willing to take full responsibility for that debt, don't put other people's debt or responsibility on your credit. All right. On a more practical note, I would also say don't charge food on the credit card. You're not going to see it again. You won't even remember. You won't even remember what it was. But if you're going to charge it, you're going to pay it off each month. So you would have to put the food on a credit card that gives you what you want. So for example, if you have discipline, yes, I'll charge a meal on a credit card that I'm going to pay off in full the next month. And I'm going to get some points from that. I'm going to get airline, or I'm going to get hotel, or something that I want. So I don't get a credit card that just offers me cash back. What am I going to do? That means I'm going to spend more. No, I want it to give me something that I don't have. I want some free airline. I want some free hotel. And I don't want these little $10 off or 10% off something stuff. I want some real. And I've had some cards that have really been a blessing. And I have gone to see my mama, in Colorado Springs, and from the DMV. That's a pretty generally pricey tickets. And I've used my credit card and used those free points that I have got from just regular spending, but I'm going to pay it off in full. So if you're not going to pay something off in full, don't charge to a card that already has a balance that you can't afford to pay off.
Oh, say that one more time for the people in the back.
Okay. Do not charge to a card that you do not have the money to pay off, that already has a balance. Your card already has $3,000 on it. Now you want to go out to dinner. Don't do it. You're not going to pay it off the next month. It's already got a balance that you can't afford. So do not charge that. Out of your debit card in that case. Your cash flow.
And that's interesting because I think a lot of times we just, and you correct me if I'm wrong in my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think of credit card as debt. We think of credit card as money.
Yes, exactly. I remember seeing this little cartoon one time, and it had like a picture of a checkbook. Of course, we don't use checkbooks like we used to in the day, but the concept is the person had all these checks left, but yet the bank account had nothing in it. It was like, what's the problem? I still got checks. It's like, you got checks, right? We don't have any money. And so, we really have to just be mindful of the fact that, no, money doesn't grow on trees. It's not limitless. And if we're not paying attention to what's going on financially, then we wonder why God's not blessing you with more, right? To whom much is given, much is required. But if you're not going to meet God's requirements, then don't be surprised if he's not giving you more, because you're not managing what you have.
You are dropping some nuggets in here. I mean, because a lot of times we don't think of it to whom much is given, much is required. And I remember hearing a phrase one time called God's money management system, and how that we're supposed to be doing the things that you're talking about right now, and you're helping and educating us right now. So my next question would be, just keeping the flow, and I know you touched on this, sir, already, but I kind of want to back around to it. What are some good rules that if Brother Green Apple and Sister Blueberry have come into your office and you see that their credit cards are all maxed out and they have a negative net worth, and they're saying, okay, Ms. Turner, can you help us get out? What's the first step that you're going to tell them that they do in their situation?
Okay. The first step is we're going to talk about that money mindset. And I want to get to the root. I want to get to the root of how it happened. Because there's always a root. If there's a lot of department store credit card because somebody's shopping a lot, there's a root. Okay. If there's a lot of subscriptions to, what is it? Hulu and you name it. They got so many of them out there. I don't know all that stuff.
Okay? Netflix and
yeah,
Hulu and Paramount Plus and Star. Yeah, I can name them. You know what I'm saying?
You can name them. Okay. So all that going to, it's like, then again, all this entertainment, like, when is it enough? You got 800 channels on your TV, but you got to have all these subscriptions in addition. And are you spending time in the Word? All your time is you're being entertained. And so again, we got to get to the root of it. Why? What did you spend? You've got everything's maxed out. What was going on those credit cards to cause that? And sometimes it's, I've heard things like it's the child care. They're both career people. Here comes the babies, and now all of a sudden the child care, and it's totally unacceptable. The amount, that is being charged to these young families. I was a stay-at-home mom. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, but it's very challenged. Then there has to be decisions made between that couple, and it's an individual thing. Is somebody going to give up a career? Somebody might say, absolutely not. Okay, then y'all got to work it out. And if there's not family that can help with the babysitting, okay, and you've got $1,200 a month going out in childcare, and that might be low depending on the area you're in, then there's second jobs involved. There's cutting back on those subscriptions. There's all kinds of things that decisions have to be made, but you can't just close your eyes and be like, oh, well, we'll catch up eventually, because you probably won't. And you'll go deeper and deeper into debt.
And that is true. So with that in mind, also, would you advise them to continue using their credit cards? If so, how? Or would you advise them to shut down their credit cards? How would you advise them with their credit card usage?
I would tell them to not eliminate or shut down the credit card. I would say that they have to, at minimum, pay whatever they charged in the past 30 days between the last credit card statement. If they can't afford to pay that, then they have to stop using the credit card. But don't close the credit card, because the credit score would be adversely affected by closing down older lines of credit. So if I have a credit card that I got 6 years ago, and all of a sudden that's the one I decide I'm going to cut up or not use anymore or close down, but I'm going to keep the one I just got 2 months ago, I just adversely affected my credit score.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There's a lot. So let me give you another scenario.
Okay.
We have a couple that comes in, Brother Green Apple and Sister Blueberry. I kind of like them.
Yeah.
Brother Green Apple and Sister Blueberry come in, and they're in trouble. They own their own home.
Mm-hmm.
Would you advise them to do like a home equity line of credit or consolidation loan of some type? Would you advise them to do that? It says, they see we have all these offers across social media talking about HELOCs. Would you ever advise them to go do that to pay off their bills and that there? Or
if the behavior behind what caused the bills to be the way they are is going to be changed, yes, that could be a great option. If the behavior is not going to change, no. Now you will eliminate the credit card debt. You will consolidate it into a new loan, or you will, personal loan, or you're going to get the HELOC. And now you have something attached to your home and your behavior hasn't changed, and you still out there going plastic. You still got to discover, because you're still discovering your way to sleepless nights. You still out there with a visa. You got a passport to stress, right? You still out there with a MasterCard. Somebody is your master, and it ain't Jesus.
So you're real big on the money mindset and having
Absolutely.
that mindset that, hey, you know what, we have to change the behavior before the results will change.
Absolutely. We've heard that phrase. You keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's insanity. So we're not cray-cray.
Exactly. Brother Blueberry and Sister Green Apple going to get it. Brother Green, they're going to get it together.
They're going to get together.
So, in doing this here, how often would you recommend someone pull their credit to take a look at it?
Okay. At minimum, annually. And you can go to annualcreditreport.com and get a free pull of your credit report. That's annualcreditreport.com. Once a year, you're allowed to get a free credit report. Now, it's your report, not necessarily your score. You may have to get the score by paying a little something or use your bank. So there's banks and credit unions that have, it's not the necessarily the FICO score, but they have another measurement. And you can get that for free through credit unions and through your banks. And it'll monitor monthly. And I have one of the banks that I use, it monitors daily. I'm daily getting your credit score has changed +1. Yay. Your credit score has changed +40. So I've seen that happen. And it's very sensitive. You go get it. Like I had to buy a new computer for my company. 0% for 24 months. Good credit. And that caused the credit score to go down a couple points. But then I paid a couple things off. The credit score went back up. So it is something that constantly moves. It's a heartbeat. It's a moving target. But the goal is for it to go moving on the way up, not on the way down.
And would you say this here, to kind of follow up with that there, that it goes down faster than it goes up?
You better say so. And it's harder to go up. It's harder to recover after a down. It's kind of like if you when you were in school and you had your first test, and let's say that first test score was a D-, and then the next 3 was A+. It's going to be hard to even get to an A, because you started off so low. Whereas if you started out with an A and then you got another A and then you got the D-, you might not drop quite as bad, right? So it's the same thing with that credit score. It's definitely harder for it to go up than it is for it to go down. It's kind of like if you was on a mountain, you fall down. You're gonna go further when you fall. Climbing up, you're gonna take some effort, and you're gonna work. You're gonna work to get back up.
Yeah, that I understand. That one's a big one. What does it mean to do a soft pull on a credit? And is that bad, or can it become bad if you're doing a bunch of soft pulls?
Okay. So the soft pull does not adversely affect your credit score, right? So a soft pull could be, I just want to get an idea of what if I did this? And many times you'll go someplace, let's say you go to Best Buy. I'll just use that example for that computer that I had to purchase for my business. And I already had a card with them, and that had 0%. And I was thinking, okay, I want to go ahead and charge this new computer there. And then they said, well, we can do a soft pull. And my first thing, are you sure? Because I want to make sure that they know the difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. Are you sure this is not going to adversely affect my credit score? Because I don't want anything affecting my score. And they said, oh, no, it won't affect it at all. And it didn't. It didn't. It was just a soft pull, just inquiry. right? But a hard pull is a different story. Okay. The hard pull, that is where I'm getting a new credit card. I'm getting a new personal loan. All right. I'm getting a new car, a house. And even if it's a house, there's some new rules out there, at least from the time I purchased a house many years ago. The frequency in which you want to get those hard pulls when you're trying to get a mortgage, to pre-qualify or even pre-qualify on a car, just getting them all together, not waiting, get one here and then 2 months later, because you don't want any more than 2 within a year. All right. For actually 2 within 2 years for you still to have a good when it comes to those inquiries. If you have more than 2 inquiries, red flag, the company say, wait a second, you sure are trying to get some money. Something must be wrong. They're desperate. So you don't want to have that many. 0 to 1 is considered excellent when it comes to. So I use strategy. I had got a new business credit card, but this card, it actually showed up on my personal credit report. I got it in December of 2022. I'm waiting until after December of 2024 before I get anything else new when it comes to credit. So,
wow,
that one will fall off, and I'll have 0, and then I'll go ahead and get my 1.
That is something, and that takes a lot of patience. And I think leading into one of the questions that I have, how does the amount that I owe, what I owe, and my financial position affect me, or can it affect me spiritually?
Now that right there is a mouthful. Absolutely can. Remember, I had that little analogy about a passport to stress, discover sleepless nights. Debt is heavy. Any weight is going to be heavy. And it's a heaviness on the mind. It affects our natural sleep when we owe and we're not able to pay, or when we owe and we just have to be patient to be able to get out of the situation that we're in. Whether we got ourselves into it, or maybe the spouse got someone into it because they're one. Whatever the case, it's going to take patience, and patience possesses your soul. And we're going to have to really ask the Lord to help us and give us his peace, that passes all understanding. I understand that I owe this money, but Lord, give me your perfect peace that passes all that I know, and give me the mind to do what's right and be a good steward of your money. And the Lord will turn it around. But we literally, when people have debt, too much debt, sometimes because they don't want to be patient, they will go out and get jobs, miss church, and haven't seen them. And now all of a sudden, they're not getting fed spiritually. Next thing you know, someone's backsliding over a credit card when that's nothing that's too hard for the Lord to take care of. You don't know how he's going to bless you. You don't know how that windfall is going to come, and you didn't have to go get that second job. But seek him in everything you do, and he will bless.
Good stuff. Well, one thing is, I don't know that you've also authored a book.
Yes.
And I would like to ask you, I know this is a little bit off topic, but you've also authored that book. And I want to ask you, can you please tell us a little bit about that wonderful book that you have authored?
Oh, thank you so much for asking about that. My first book is called Mama May. And Mama May is about the power of love and forgiveness when a person does their best, but it's not the best. And it takes place in Colorado Springs. And it's the dynamics between my birth mother and my adopted mother, because I was adopted. So a lot of things growing up weren't that great. And that really, it goes right back to tying it back to our main topic, our mindset. And a lot of things didn't go well growing up. But, all things do work together for the good. And I have learned to apply the concepts that the Lord gave me in Mama May, especially with that power of love and forgiveness. Because whether it's money, somebody didn't pay you back, whether it's, relationship problems because of mismanagement of God's money, whatever the case may be, or somebody just didn't love you right, somebody just chose to not love you right, it's going to take love and forgiveness to get over it. And I always say we should intentionally and purposefully love and forgive more and more. And it'll help you in all areas of life. So that's Mama May.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think a lot of us don't really realize is that living a good life, especially when we talk about scriptures and things like that, you have to be intentional.
You do.
You have to be intentional when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our spiritual walk, when it comes to so many different things. We have to be intentional. And I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today concerning financial health and that there. And I want to ask you one last thing. Can you please give us some parting advice from your pen, and just take as long as you want, and it just kind of summing up everything that you've told us today, tonight, and just let us know what we need to do about our financial health and any final comments that you have. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much again for allowing me the opportunity to be here on your podcast. And I would say in closing remarks, whatever the situation is, if it's money, if it's relationships, if it's our jobs, we have to give it all to the Lord. We cannot operate in shame and in fear. We have to operate in the confidence of the Lord. And so when we come to him in faith, nothing doubting, and we get help in the areas that we need help in, we can be sure that we are really ready for a change. God is right there. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so I would say to learn to trust God in these situations, lay it out. Let the Lord know what it is that you're praying about, and get some professional help. We don't know it all. I don't know it all. But what I do know, that God has given me, and collaborations that I have where I can find out even more, I can help. And so I'm here to help. God has placed people in the body to help in all areas of our lives. We have doctors, we have lawyers. Thank God we have pastors, after God's own heart. And we have people in the video. We have people in the finance office. We have people, the ushers, everybody that God has placed in his body so that the church is fully equipped to help both naturally and spiritually in all areas of our life. All we have to do is not be prideful, not be full of shame, and not be full of fear, and come and get the help. We are a hospital. The church is a hospital. So every area of life can be helped. And I know that I'm very passionate about helping God's people to do the right things and be stewards of God's money. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. It's not my money. It's not your money. It's God's money. So let him bless you by being a good steward of his money. And you will see that we then, we'll be able to build more churches. We'll be able to do more things for the kingdom, and just watch God not just show up, but show out in our lives.
That's good. That's good. Well, that concludes our conversation on financial health with Evangelist Catherine Yo Turner, who's also the owner and of Good Books LLC. And I will tell you personally, she is everything that you see here this evening. She will help you take the shame out of your finances. If you are in need, she can help you clear up your past, stabilize your present, and organize your future. So we want to thank her for being a part of our Cash tonight. You can take care of her number, contact informations at the bottom of your screen. Take a look at it, write it down, jot it down, and give her a call and just let her know, hey, I need some help. Because if she can't help you, she sure ain't gonna hurt you. Y'all take care. Have a good night.
Amen. Thank you.